Turf Talk with Drew Miller.
On this week's Pioneer Athletics Collaboration Groundskeeper Chat episode, we host the Major League Baseball panel with three of the largest names in this industry, with Mr. Luke Yoder, Mr. Bill Deacon of the New York Mets, and Matt Brown of the Pittsburgh Pirates. People that have had a huge influence on my life. Matt being the first industry professional to really give me a chance, bringing me on as a game day staff guy in New York, working under Bill, learning as much as I possibly can, to, again, sort of follow him to Pittsburgh and to see just sort of the growth of our industry and to see what an incredible opportunity can be given to a kid like me who, again, they can attest to how raw I was when it came to being brand new to this industry. And what I really loved about this podcast was being able to talk to my mentors and to better understand sort of the way that they look at things and how they operate, to teach me and educate me the best they could while running a Major League Baseball stadium, and not just through my experience, but through their experiences together. Luke gave Matt that first opportunity in San Diego, and it's incredible to see how awesome our industry is and how well it works together in developing sort of that next generation of groundskeeper. And we dive into that, being able to create relationships and understand that these relationships have a lasting impact, not just on one area of this industry, but all of it, to see the growth from Matt working with Bill and then becoming a head groundskeeper and then having an impact on the point where there's more Major League Baseball groundskeepers that have sort of come from their leadership and their teachings, to see how our industry works firsthand is this podcast at its finest, and to be able to showcase that and be able to talk about not just, again, sort of growing that next generation, but what they're going through on a day-to-day basis when it comes to the high-stress situation of Major League Baseball. There truly needs to be an understanding that we have individuals who are expected to operate at the highest level with little rest and little time throughout a long part of the year, and these guys are some of the best to ever do it. So to be able to showcase sort of how we as an industry can grow and evolve and how their roles have evolved over time when it comes to, events have become a major part of these stadiums when it comes to concerts, and being able to develop plans and develop new and innovative ways to combat these challenges that they have to face, because again, they are a baseball field, and I want to take a moment to truly thank them for everything they did for me and everything they have done for me. Matt is always a phone call away, and that's always stuck with me and sort of what I want to do with my career, and being able to be that for someone else and be able to bring in that next generation and to understand that we're all learning every day. Matt taught me that it's going to happen. Things are going to go wrong, and it's not our place to sort of lose our head and take it out on the individual who's at fault, but to work through it, problem solve, troubleshoot, and all these different things that are so critical, not just for our industry, but for the sanity of people and what we're doing, and that's what I love about this industry and what I love about this group of guys, and I can't thank them enough for the impact they've had on my life. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Tiger Turf Talk. All right, welcome back to the Pioneer booth here at SFMA in Salt Lake City. We're into our MLB panel with three of the best in this industry for many reasons, and one of my favorite reasons is the network and the sort of tree that came from Luke and how everybody's now MLB groundskeepers because of the time you spent with Luke and the time you spent with Bill. What has it been like for you guys to sort of be a part of that sort of network and developing really most Major League groundskeepers, around the country?
Well, it's a lot of fun, and it's even more fun to come back to this show and see these guys are, close friends is what it is, and tell old war stories and check in on how everybody's doing. And I was back in San Diego, and I got there, and I knew I wanted to, have an infield it was better than what I'd had before. This is way before Duredge, but I always respected what Eric Hansen did, and talked to Eric about interviewing Bill, and he gave me the blessing. So I didn't, train him on anything. He brought him in, and he, showed me more or less how they maintain the infield up at the Dodgers, and we got the same material the Dodgers had. So I learned a lot from him as well on basically how we even go about with best maintenance practices on whether it's a Duredge surface or just about any surface that has your 60% sand and 40% clay, and it's mostly moisture management, as we all know.
Absolutely. How about for you guys? Just being a part of MLB for so long now. I mean, you're in year 8 now. That's crazy.
It's been good. It's, like Luke said, it's great to catch up with everyone, but I always look at it too, like it's the ultimate compliment when another team calls you and says, hey, we want to interview one of your assistants or someone that's working for you. It's one of those things that I look at. It means, we're doing our job properly, and if other teams are noticing that, it's a good thing, really.
Yeah, I think it's cool just to see everything really come full circle. Obviously, with working with, wouldn't be where I was or where I am right now without these two guys, and obviously working with Luke in San Diego, with him even starting in Pittsburgh now, and me being there, and like I said, everything coming full circle. It's just really cool. I think it's nice to know you have a solid network and guys to fall back on if you're having issues or if you need to bounce ideas. And I think at the end of the day, it boils down to trust. And like Bill said, it's just a testament to these guys and the programs and the strategies that they have in place now.
Now, obviously, Luke, you've moved on to Duredge, and that's just, it's the industry standard. Obviously, these guys are using it. What has it been like sort of having everything come full circle and being able to see all these stadiums come into all of your guys' work? And again, what you guys were working with for before Duredge and really where it became that standard, how has that been sort of for you guys, again, working hand in hand in professional stadiums and researching and trying to figure out what works best?
Yeah, it's icing on the cake with the job I have now, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. I'm not responsible for introducing or setting these guys up with a Duredge field.
Yeah,
they were already there. Grant McKnight did that work. But to be able to get out and about and still have your finger in baseball and still be able to go out on the fields and occasionally pick up a hose or go out there and rake and I love seeing these guys, but I'll tell you, I probably haven't gone to their field and seen them in the last couple years. They don't really need me for that.
Or something that prevented that,
if I do roll through town, definitely try to go see clients, but most of our time is spent with educating partners and end users that may not know how to, for example, pack black stick and water it properly. And preventative, proactive approaches with that. But
for sure.
Yeah, to have that minor league connection still with a lot of friends and clients that are friends, and in the major league and D1 too. It's a lot of fun to go out and see these guys and still developing new relationships and friendships as well out there.
Absolutely. With everything, obviously, you guys, it's getting right into the heat of getting prepared for everything. What do you guys? You guys are veterans now. Obviously, you were a veteran before. What are you guys looking forward to this season and sort of just years past coming into, again, another MLB year?
I'm looking forward to the fact that we look like we're going to have a good team. So
very nice.
That's always
you hope so after the money dollar sign.
It's it makes for an exciting season if the team plays well.
Absolutely.
And it makes everyone happier when the team plays well. So that's I'm looking forward to that.
Sorry about that.
We have a ton of work coming up. We still have about 70,000 square feet to sod in the outfield, so that's coming in the next month or so, and then we'll be off and running. And, the season will be here before we know it.
Yeah, I think we're a little bit on the opposite end of the spectrum. And you still get the nostalgia every year when opening day rolls around. Obviously, we're very involved with our spring training facility as well, so getting to go down and see those guys and being involved in that whole process. But And a lot of this industry, as you know, Drew, is just developing relationships. So we have very good relationships with our players and coaches. So working with those guys day in, day out, at the end of the day, you still get to come to a ballpark every single day, which is cool. But as Bill said, we're not just turf managers at this point. We're event managers, and obviously Bill dealing with not only concerts but soccer. Obviously, we're full-fledged into the concert world now too as well. So every year is a different challenge. My challenges are different than Bill's, and even when Luke was still doing this, everybody has different challenges. So. No, I wish we had more status quo, but every year is so different. So
they find new ways to make it more difficult. And oh, by the way, we're doing a whole new event. We're bringing a dirt track or something. Your whole field's getting covered, by the way. Something that you guys have been able to do in your careers, not just to develop relationships with your coaches and your players and whatnot, but it's your staffs, and that speaks volumes to where all you're at in your career and where you started, What has it been like for you guys sort of developing those staffs and having people that you can rely on? Like when I was there with Matt and everything, there's people that you can rely on, you can trust to do the job well. What has it been like sort of developing? I mean, again, you guys are developing people like Matt, people like Ryan, who are now in those roles developing more people. What has it been like for you sort of being able to sort of be at the forefront of that development, again, of this generation of MLB groundskeepers?
Well, I think it comes, maybe we're not even aware we were doing that at the time.
Yes, 100%.
But it's definitely fun to see. And you want to check in, you want to watch those teams. I don't watch baseball as much as I used to, but if I see the Pirates or the Mets, that's what I'm watching when I'm out of town on the road or something,
Yeah, 100%.
And thinking about those guys, sometimes every now and then pick up the phone and call their office. Sometimes they're sitting in the office or something. Yeah, and one person I'd like to mention that probably to me has, the biggest family tree or one of the most impressive in groundskeeping is Eric Hansen. He was a legend, and of course that's where Bill was before coming to San Diego. So I always respected what he did, and he always put out a pristine surface no matter what the challenges were. And a lot of people have learned from him, taking his approach.
Yeah, one of the things that Eric always stressed when he was looking for people was, he said, I'm looking for someone that eventually wants my job, and you have to have enough confidence in yourself to be able to hire people like that. And it's I've kind of taken that, and that's what sort of led me to hiring people that I wanted people that wanted to do this and wanted to move on. It's tough seeing someone move on, but it's also rewarding in the end when like I said before, when someone calls you and says, "Hey, we want to interview someone from your staff." So we try and spend a lot of time when we're hiring, when we're looking for someone. We talk to people, and then you look at their background and minor league experience, college experience, major league experience. All those things are hugely helpful when you're looking for people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's. I think one of the things I took from New York and working with Bill is just the. Bill really stressed the quality of life outside of the stadium, as well as the quality when you're actually physically at the stadium. So that's something I've tried to carry over. And like you said, it's with having this position comes responsibility, and it is our responsibility to train the next generation of groundskeepers, because they're the future of our industry. Like I said, we don't do things the exact same way, but we take a lot of the philosophies that we have learned through working with each other throughout the years to our facilities.
Absolutely. Now, some of those things that you're trying to do, it's nearly impossible when it comes to Major League Baseball and the event load and everything that you guys have. What are some of those things that you are doing to try and, again, have that time out of the office, out of this building, not looking at your phone, checking on the fields, seeing, make sure everything's okay? How do you sort of escape? What's your guys' sort of escapes when it comes to your job and being able to, again, reset in a way, you know?
I think I'm pretty lucky. I'm in a good position where I have, very, very qualified staff. I get a lot of support from my boss above me as well. She, she's all for, building a large enough staff that, we're going to get time. We've been trying to kind of split up, and we started each taking a baseball weekend off last year, which for years was unheard of. But
absolutely,
you have to trust that when it's going to rain, everyone's going to do the right thing. So I've taken a lot of that from her. She's I've worked with my boss now since I've been at the Mets, and she's very, very supportive of all that stuff. But it's very, very important too, as I'm sure everyone knows, and Luke can attest now that he's not working in baseball, how important it is, especially when you have kids and family. But even if you're single, you need time for yourself too. So I'm lucky. I coach my kids hockey. I get time to do stuff like that. And the other thing is, I've built that trust with my boss where when something happens, she knows that I'll be there and I'll take care of it, or someone will be there and someone will take care of it.
We've had to get pretty creative, just being in a small market setting, with having a little smaller staff size. This past year, we kind of divided our staff to where I actually have a manager of kind of field actual game day events, and then also a manager of actual field events themselves. So my field events manager is working less hours when the team's in town, but then he picks it up when the teams are out of town, and then the guys that are working the games kind of get that break when the team leaves. So you just have to find ways to get creative. You have to figure out what makes people tick, to get them that quality time when they're actually not at the stadium. Because like you said, we definitely have to prioritize the mental health on top of the actual physical well-being of the position.
And absolutely, with everything, it's incredible what you guys have been able to do, because we live in a world where it's impossible to really reach that, and now it's become such an important aspect of all of our lives. Pre-pandemic, into pandemic, seeing all of these things come to sort of fruition. It's great how you're sort of attacking it different ways with your needs. So, with all the work that you're doing, it takes so much time, energy, effort, and you guys have done it for such a long time. And I'm sure I've talked to all of you about it before, but what is it that really drives you? There are so many things. 12-game homestand, you're on that 10th game, you're right there, and you got aerating, top dressing, all these things the day after. What is it that's kept you going, for all these years and being successful in your roles at the MLB level?
I think it's for me. I think people ask me what the favorite part of my job is. It's honestly when the team's out of town and nobody's in the stadium, and I can just actually be a groundskeeper. I think that's the thing that motivates me. It's obviously cool to get compliments especially from the visiting teams. Obviously, your home team sees your facility all the time, so they're going to be a little biased. But when we get players and coaches coming up and saying, "Hey, we like the way the field plays," and actually ask questions to us, I think that's a cool thing for me.
Yeah, I think year after year, there's always something different that drives you. The ultimate goal is obviously you want to have a field that plays good. You have to have a passion for it. Some of the things that drive me are, I like looking at different products. I like looking at different ways to do things, talking to people about stuff like that. People will ask me what my fertilizer plan is, and my fertilizer plan changes every year. I base it on our soil tests and what's worked well, and different products, and you have to be open to constantly learning. And I think that's what's great about our industry too, is there's just all these avenues to constantly learn and try different things. And it's trying different things and having people compliment you on what how the field is. It's like Matt said, the visiting team's a big one. Getting compliments from them, it's that's what's very rewarding about it.
Yeah. The other thing, like Bill said, is winning. If you're winning, that's your motivation right there. We had maybe 3 or 4 years in San Diego where we had a chance and made the playoffs just twice, but that was really cool. And you're looking at the paper, every day, the box. I mean, it's just you're a big baseball fan at that point, and you're taking pride in what you do and getting a little more airtime. But if you're not, you're still going to go grind it out. I think every one of us, no matter winning or losing, we would be putting out the same product. We're not going to just slough because we're having a tough year winning wise. That doesn't happen. But then it turns into, your motivation is to get through, and you're looking forward to that road trip where you can get home for dinner Sunday after a day game, and you're hoping you don't have extra innings. And, you're going to have to airify the next day potentially, but hopefully it's an 8-hour day. You go in there and get it done. All three of us, too, are all big. We don't just take off right after the team leaves. A lot of groundskeepers do that, and I just never agreed with that because there's always something that needs to be done right away to heal up.
Yep.
So we go in there, we get it done, bust, our hump for a couple days, and then take some time off, right? And usually that work is turf grass related and backing off on the dirt. But then, of course, the off season is the prize time of the year for all of us. I think that I used to look forward to that big time. So those are the things that kind of got me through.
Absolutely. Now, I want to get into sort of your guys' relationships and whatnot. What are some of the most fondest things you guys can remember from working together, whether it's all of you or just someone that, like, it really stood out to you, that experience between you guys on the field in the moment? I have one with Matt and with you with the tarp that always sticks out in my brain. That was a fun day. Do you remember that one or no?
Yeah,
You're trying to climb the mountain.
Yeah, we pull the tarp a lot, so it's.
I know the tarp got in the mess. That one was a little bit more obvious.
Yeah. Though, no, I think it's when you think about it. You're at the stadium 12 to 16 hours sometimes, and if you didn't like the guys that you're working with, it's not going to make your job a whole lot of fun. So it's almost like a brotherhood because you spend so much time together.
Absolutely.
And obviously you have fond memories, and then most of those come out over beers.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
No, I think it's like I said, it's just a testament to the fact that I can call these guys and trust in their opinions, and I think that's invaluable.
See, Luke and I are the same age, so when we worked together, we were both quite a bit younger. But it's we also had a good relationship outside of work. We played golf together. We had safety meetings off site together. So it was it's funny because Luke will say that he learned stuff about the dirt. I learned so much from Luke too. It's when Eric Hansen always had an incredible attention to detail, but Luke was the same way. Luke, and there was different things that I picked up on. So that was his attention to detail when we were in San Diego. It was unbelievable, and you learn from that, from the stuff on the field to how the shop looked, and you try and take some of that with you. But yeah, it's you get to be friends with all these guys, and it's good to get back together every once in a while with them. But that's I take that a lot away too. Matt came to me. He was pretty young, so I got to different sort of dynamic. But I got to spend a lot of time with Matt too for a couple of years too. So that was very good.
Yeah, when Bill started, I think one of the best times for us, or me, the memories, just when we were building the ballpark, when the field was going in, and it was my second opportunity to do that. And at PNC. Same plan, if you will, same architect. So at least I knew, what was coming.
Absolutely.
But anyway, we had to really keep up with who was building the field, and so there's
I remember going to your talk a few years ago about, well, this isn't a field construction company. This is a couple different companies.
It was a landscape
yeah.
company that it was tough. But anyway, we had a good time with it.
Yeah,
and it took both of us to get it done right. And so a lot of good war stories out there as that was going on. And, you're going through the grow-in stage and you're not allowed to go out there and touch the thing. So, we had, nicknames for certain people, and we did as much as we could to without getting out of our lane. But a lot of fun construction stories. Like Bill said, that's where they called it Hard Hat Friday. So all the construction, we'd go to Tivoli's. It was the oldest bar in the gas lamp, I think.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And then it turned into safety meetings, and so the regular safety meetings.
Like
I think Matt probably went to several of those, and yeah, like you said, golf or going to the beach. Typically after day games, we would go to a safety meeting, and then once when the team was on the road or something. But yeah, there's so many good memories, and so many times you look back and be like, you wish you would have relished in that a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's fun to go back and look at old pictures. We just that was still when I don't know if we had digital cameras then. I guess we did, but don't have as many as I'd like. But every now and then you run across an old picture that sparks memories and brings back some good times.
Absolutely. You mentioned brotherhood, and I think with the MLB guys, there's definitely a really a tight-knit sort of group. And do you have a symposium now, or you already have one? Or
We had it in November.
Okay, so when you guys go to those meetings and be able to talk to them, what are some of those challenges you guys all face together that you think you really have learned from each other, sort of across the nation, and everybody's dealing with the same issue but trying to sort of combat that issue in the best way?
Yeah, I think a good example of that is this year we had Elton John was touring, and
What a guy.
yeah, so we had him obviously Detroit, Cleveland, Washington, but stage goes stage, so front load, drivable on the field, and we luckily didn't have the quick turnaround that John and Brandon did in Cleveland, but actually just picking up the phone, calling Brandon and saying, hey, do you mind if I stop up and see the build, see the out? I think it's just little stuff like that's a testament to kind of the tight-knit community that it is at the MLB level. Everybody's always willing to help anybody, and I think that speaks to not only just the quality of the groundskeepers at that level, but just the quality of the people overall at that level.
Yeah, and when you talk about challenges, a lot of us face the same, very similar challenges. It's become so event driven that's a lot of what we spend time talking about. We spend probably less time talking about managing dirt and growing grass and figuring out how to make it through these events. So whether it's soccer, concert, Top Golf, the list just goes on. But it affects everyone in MLB and the minor leagues for that. So that's probably the main topic when we get together, and it's the other things that we find out there that are common, hiring people, that type of stuff, finding sports staff or game staff, those little things too. It's good to always have people to rely on, and you find different avenues for finding people, so that for what it's like. The game staff you require and you need them there. They're a huge part of what you do, but it's a part-time job, but it's a demanding part-time job too. So it's a tough spot to fill.
For sure. I mean, you're still involved most of the time. What are you saying when it comes to the brotherhood of the MLB guys?
Well, yeah, it just seemed like yesterday I was going to the symposium. I went to that for 15 years 20. I can't even remember, 15, 20 years. But it does seem like just yesterday. When I see these guys, it's just like yesterday. And it's a different, it was interesting to get involved and get to know the guys in California. You got, Barney Lopez and Grant Trenbeth, and at the time, Scotty McVicker, and Clay Wood, going out to get and see those guys. It's a totally different brotherhood.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun.
For sure.
And to be accepted, and I was like, are they going to accept this Pittsburgh guy coming out there, and they're, all these California guys in Southwest, but, just getting to know them and the way they had a good time was different than the way we did,
Yeah.
And, but yeah, the symposium was always a good time to go get caught up and see. And, now I'm involved in the minor league symposium. We provide a platform for those guys, basically, with the help of some other sponsors. And so they'll be meeting on Thursday and Friday. We've invited any Major League guys that want to come. So a couple of these guys that are here now are going to stop by tomorrow or Friday at that. But they've got, very similar relationships, brotherhood there, and a lot of very well qualified, highly competent and very, task oriented, detail oriented groundskeepers at the minor league level that have every bit as good of a quality field as some major league fields, right? So that part there is fun, and I have a lot of respect for guys in the minor leagues that have just chosen to do that as a career, and some of them have maybe chosen not to pursue Major League Baseball for a reason. They're happy with their job, some of them, and they're in a smaller town. So looking forward to spending some time with those guys here in the next couple of days as well.
And again, Dirt Edge and what you guys do for them is incredible, putting them up and making sure that their voice is heard. So I appreciate that, especially with you guys knowing what they go through, So again, the trend is obviously special events. Is there anything you guys are seeing on the front line when it comes to moving forward with the MLB and what you guys could see coming down the pipeline, whether that's different events, and again, Topgolf is going to be a pain in the butt probably, but for the game specific, do you guys see anything changing here in the future, moving towards different practices or anything like that? And I know it's probably it's not broken, why fix it type of thing, but any new maybe technologies that you guys have seen that become sort of a standard practice for you guys?
Well, I think a change towards technology is inevitable, right? At the end of the day, we're trying to make our jobs as easy as possible. And Bill touched on just a struggle a little bit with trying to find labor and getting guys on site. And I think that could potentially be a route to attracting maybe a younger breed of individual, embracing the technology side, whether that's the autonomous mowers or drones or stuff like that. You're always looking for, like I said, you're always looking for newer and more efficient ways of doing things. So I think that like I said, it's inevitable that technology is going to be a major part of our industry moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, you're just, like Matt said, you're always looking at what's new, and I think that's one of the things that I enjoy about coming here and this job in general is I'm all open to switching up switching my fertilizer plan, trying to develop new ways to get through a concert, as flooring evolves and stuff like that for special events, different flooring, different ways to put flooring in, different ways to make it better. We're always looking at that type of stuff, and I think based on the way these jobs go, is that's something you have to be open to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think all three of us have been open to learning new, tricks or new trades or new scientific methods to go about things. Like Matt mentioned, this, looking at all kinds of technology coming out. And I think that's one reason that we've all been successful. And if you've got, blinders on in this industry, or, you're walking like a mule with blinders, you can't see. You're just going to do the same thing over and over. Like you said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's not always the right approach. Mm-hmm. I would agree it is with certain things, but you've got to be open-minded, and you've got to try new things to a certain extent, very slowly at a time, to where nobody's going to notice if it doesn't work the way you wanted it to. It's got to be safe and well calculated when you go big with it. But if we hadn't have been open to change, we would not be having the reputation we do now with our fields in general, or having the the family tree grow, if you will, where people go out and but there are people, as everybody's wearing this industry, that have been in it for a long time, that whether at any level of baseball, from major league to minor to D1 in any sport for that matter, that I don't want to use the term stuck in a rut, but it kind of is, and they don't know it, and they're just going the exact same path because it's worked, and that's kind of sad to see, because they don't know what they don't know, just like we don't, unless we try something new and we can share it with others. I mean, like one example, Bill, he shared with me, we've always been manual soil probe guys, managing moisture with that, with our hands and with soil probes for the grass, and that works. It still works. But he shared with me some data that he used to help his crew to be able to hand water more efficiently. And that's another thing too that we've done is, hand watering. Irrigation, just because it's fancy and electronic, it's not a magic button to grow grass. And nobody's perfect with it, but it's usually overused and just pressing it because they want to make sure they don't have hot spots tomorrow, or you just can't be afraid to pick up a hose when you need to pick up a hose. And that's another way you're going to get as close to a perfect infield surface as possible by using a hose on the dirt and the grass when you need to.
And I think that speaks volumes to sort of just all sports field managers, that there's really no one particular way. You all have your own microclimates on your fields, whether that's shade issues, other big scoreboards going in. But it's just there are so many things that are coming out that you don't really see sort of being something that could be a standard. But, moving forward, soil sensors, I know you guys have been using them for a while. Weren't around, how long ago, 10 years, 15 years ago? So, it's great to see, again, you guys adapting to, again, times that may be easier for you guys moving forward, being able to understand where moisture's at from your phone, in a sense, kind of like a green in a way. But with everything, and obviously you guys do a lot of work, especially like we're talking family tree, when it comes to the next generation, you guys are still working with 21-year-olds that are coming out of college. And I know we've talked and I've tried. I'm sorry I haven't gotten you interns, but I thought I almost did. I thought I did. I apologize. But there are so many young individuals who are finding this industry. What has it been like for you guys to, again, sort of seize those generational changes, even from like when I was with you to now, where, again, it's two different people, and I definitely was not good or even anything that was great about me. But like when it comes to kids nowadays, it's totally different dynamic, totally different sort of demeanor in a way. What has it been like for you guys to see those generational changes and how you've adapted to managing them?
Well, I think and I want to give you some credit, Drew, because I think the program that you started is tremendous. And I think the biggest thing is like a lot of kids wouldn't even think about this as an actual profession. So you shedding a little bit of light on that is definitely a great thing for our industry. Like I touched on, I think that with embracing technology, like Bill said, embracing new strategies and ways of doing things, because at the end of the day, it's a business, right? And the playing surface itself is one of your biggest money makers in the stadium. So at least in my situation, they're going to ask us, obviously, our opinions on events and different things that they're going to try to bring into the ballpark. But at the end of the day, it is a money-making business, so we have to make things work. And being flexible, even despite being thrown all the events and everything, and then obviously 2 years ago with COVID, you have to be adaptable through all this stuff. And so I think that's and each generation is different, right? So you have to, and that's where that adaptability comes in.
Yeah, one of the things, just as a small example, one of the things for me, when I was working with Luke, we just, no one had a phone. We had a phone, but it was an Nextel, and I think with a lot of the people now, they've grown up with phones. You have to be open to, you can't have like a no phone policy on the crew. It's just,
I'm not sure how that would go over.
you can't have it. I have a teenage son, and I have to pry that thing out of his hands.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to be willing to change a little bit with the times. And I'm lucky with the guys that I have on my crew. So a lot of times my assistants, even the guys on the crew, they'll spend more time training the intern or the new guys on the crew than I will. And it helps that there's different age levels, and it makes it a little more relatable for some of them. But yeah, that's just a small thing. There's tons of things like that you got to learn, and you got to adapt, and you got to be flexible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if this method still works anymore, but one thing I used to do when interviewing is walk around with the person, whether it's an intern, whether it's a part-timer or full-timer, walk around, and if they're behind me 6 steps the whole way, probably not going to work out.
I love that.
And-
It's not anybody thinks about these days. It's kind of like it's perfect explanation of what a human can be.
And you know, we experienced the good and the bad, and you know, you're not going to get lucky every time, right? But if you do your due diligence, you're going to reduce the chances of that happening. So that's one little thing, and then the other one's not necessarily with somebody like Bill or Sid, but part-time or night crew or even seasonal. Is to tell, are you good with cleaning toilets? Are you paint a bad picture, right? Make sure they're not there
Just for the glamour.
just for baseball.
Yep.
And are you going to do this? And so if they're going to tell you yes to all this and sell you on it, then even though we had a cleaning service, right? You're
tell them that,
you're
right?
setting them up for preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. But if they're willing to do that and they can move quickly, and then the work ethic is huge. That's hard to find out, but it got to be a point where I would hire a farm boy that didn't have any turf experience, and sometimes that worked out better. And then of course we would all call each other for if you got a reference with somebody that we know that we're connected to, then that's going to go a long way. That reference means a lot more. So references were always very important, and I don't think that is not going to change in this day and age. So.
No, I mean, when you're talking about bringing someone on full time that you don't know if they're going to be there for a year or 20, you don't want to get stuck with someone where you're like, oh my gosh, get this person out of the room, Something that it's been kind of prevalent at this SFMA is sort of getting a seat at the table when it comes to being in the room with general managers and owners. For you guys, obviously, you're soldiers when it comes to the events. Baseball is and I can't speak to everyone, but is tenfold of event status compared to an NFL and a MLS stadium. What has it been like for you guys to? Again, we talked a little bit about relationships, but how do you guys feel for groundskeepers at the MLB level when it comes to that seat at the table? Are your voices being heard in a way that again makes your life not easier, but you're benefiting, say, from a big event that's coming in that you guys are having to put in extra hours, when it comes to maintaining your services, obviously?
I think obviously every organization's different. I think having data to back up your opinions and your viewpoints is invaluable. Showing physical, for example, showing perk rates or showing hardness tests after you've had 3 concerts as opposed to the readings beforehand, I think that's invaluable. Having data to back up yourself when you go into these meetings. I think also a strategy that I've employed is to save your nose for when you're really passionate about something. You don't want to be viewed as a negative person, but
guy
when you,
every single time.
Yeah, but when you and that's something that I've taken from a great deal from my bosses. Save your nose for when you're trying to get convict your point across to somebody.
Pick your battles.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Just pick your battles. It's unfortunately the events aren't going away. It's part of, and you can talk to the players and the player reps, and they all understand why these events are there. The managers, everyone understands it. I think, like Matt said, if we're having, if we know what stage we're getting, we know we're getting a G2 stage that it's all built from the morning track, then we can prepare to be successful, and that's not something I want to jump down someone's throat about. But if we're having a conversation about a big show that cranes on the field and all the rest of that, then that's where you want to have a little more conviction in what you're saying, and it doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but at least then you can do things to on the front end, or if you have to pull sod out, you can pull sod out ahead of time instead of just reacting and everything's on the back end. So I think that what Matt brought up about picking your battles, that's absolutely it's huge in this sort of world of baseball we live in.
For sure. You good?
Well, I think that's also where it comes back to networking too, Drew. It's like in a situation like having concerts like this year. Skip in Philly was kind of the guinea pig on the Elton John show. So, I mean, his willingness to send pictures and just being like, hey, here's what you need to expect, and showing ownership and the higher ups say this is what we need to be expecting out of the show is definitely valuable in our situation.
I remember in Pittsburgh, Beyonce and Hines, Ryan was trying to see it because she was going to City in like 2 weeks. So yeah, it definitely, and again, it goes back to the whole brotherhood thing and everything that goes into it. Anything exciting this year for you guys that you're really excited about when it comes to your schedule, things that you're doing, people that you get to see?
I'll let Bill go first.
I'm actually excited for baseball, like I said before.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm a Mets fan, so I am too. So hopefully it pans out. You know?
It's we have a lot of soccer and a few concerts. We'll get through it. But if the baseball's good, then I'll be happy.
I think I do look forward to the challenges that certain events bring. We have a situation this year. We have Morgan Wallen Wednesday, Thursday. Hines has Taylor Swift Friday, Saturday, and as you know, the stadiums are only about a half mile apart. So it's going to be a madhouse on the North Shore. But like I said before, you just got to make it work.
Especially those names. Jeez, it's going to be crazy people all over. Well, I want to thank you guys, not just for coming on today, but for giving me my first opportunity in this industry. And again, just being there always. I wasn't always the best. I was very raw in New York. I remember that. And it was definitely a time of my life. So I appreciate you guys for giving me that opportunity. And I will always be indebted for what you guys did for me. So thank you for that.